Good morning. It is Friday morning. This is a 60-minute vinyasa class, and I think today we're going to do a pretty mindful, slow-moving vinyasa and use it as a chance to just really ground in to our environment, hopefully cultivate a little stillness in the mind and awareness of breathing and some really light stretching and strengthening as we use pretty controlled, slow flowing movements. So that's what we're doing this morning, and going to add some twist in there today too. So let's just come to Tadasana, a comfortable standing position. Bring your feet together, big toes touching, or you can spread them apart slightly, as far apart as you need to be comfortable, no more than hip width. So let's just bring some awareness in right now by lifting the toes and spreading them apart as far apart as each individual toe can get. And if you want to bend over and even take your fingers and try to stick a finger in between each toe, we want them to be as spread as possible. And you'll find when big toes are touching, that doesn't necessarily mean the length of your feet are going to touch. So we want to start with big toes touching. And to make that happen, you may have had to rock forward a bit and put weight into those big toes. So now just kind of play with a rocking position to figure out where the weight lands, depending on whether or not you go back and forth or side to side. And just feel that. Feel some slight shift in where you are in your feet as you rock around, maybe make circles with your entire body, but just really subtly and slowly. Okay, so land ultimately with your weight back in your heels mainly, and you'll know that they're back in the heels if you can lift those toes and spread them once more. And now just feel the placement of your hips, micro bend the knees just a bit, maybe bend and rock back and forth. You feel a stretch maybe along the back of your ankle when you bend the knees. And maybe do a few pelvis tilts by tucking your tailbone and then sticking it out. These are pelvis tilts to kind of feel where your pelvis is. And you want to eventually bring it to a neutral position with the weight of your hips stacked over your heels. Let's take a feel on the belly and make sure that's pulled in. And then finally, with the shoulders here, give them a roll up and back, kind of like they're moving backward on a bicycle cog. And you want to roll them back, like one roll back on the cog. And again, sometimes countering that movement by going forward can give you a feel for how tight you are in the neck and shoulders. But when you go back and find that final position that brings the chest up to be lifted and broad across the chest, make sure by checking in with your belly once more that you didn't stick out the belly and overarch the back to get there. So pull the belly in once more, even while keeping the chest broad. Okay, let's take the head and just shake it no. Look from side to side. And then let's nod it yes. Get a sense of what is happening in your neck. Maybe take a few rolls here with the head. One side and then the other. And just like we did with the rest of our body, let's find the middle. And just take a hand here and feel the back of your head. Feel where your head would hit the pillow if you were laying down in the back of your head. And just try to get a sense of having that lined up over the back of your shoulders, the back of your hips, and your heels. And that may mean that you need to kind of adjust using the neck to bring everything back, because we sometimes have a tendency when we are trying to stand up straight to get the back of the head lined up there to lift at the chin to do it. And that creates a crunch in the back of your neck. So don't lift your chin. Keep your chin parallel to the floor or even angled down just a little, and then just adjust using your entire neck and head to slide the back of the head back. So now everything is lined up over your heels. All the weight is in the back body. Let's close our eyes here for a minute and just take a deep breath. Close your eyes. That really helps kind of just eliminate some of the sensory input you're getting through your field of vision here. And it also helps you make sure you've found your balance. So take some breaths, eyes closed. Inhale and exhale, and just the act of bringing our awareness and attention to the breath reminds us intuitively, instinctually, to make those breaths a bit deeper and longer and let them be drawn down more into the deep part of our diaphragm rather than holding it all up here in our chest. Inhale here and exhale. Inhale once more through your nose. And open mouth, exhale. Now seal those lips, and the exhale is going to come from the nose too. Inhale. Closed mouth through the nose, exhale. Let's add the arms. Inhale, arms overhead. And exhale. Arms down. Inhale, arms lift, lift, lift out of the waist, but keep the chin level. Exhale, arms down. One more time, bend the knees a bit. Inhale, arms up, legs straight. Exhale, arms down, bend the knees a bit. Inhale, arms up, knees bent just a bit, and bring your hands over your head into prayer. So now we're in a version of chair pose. I'm going to move to the side so you can see that I'm not bending deeply here. So with feet together, this is a different chair than what we normally do on Monday and Wednesday mornings. That one is with feet apart about 6 inches, and we go into a pretty deep bend. Here we've got feet together, arms overhead in prayer, and I'm bending at the knees a bit, sinking down, but I'm stacked over, my hips are stacked over my ankles, and I'm really lifted all through the waist. So look down. You should be able to see your toes under your knees. If your knees are blocking your toes like I'm doing right now, bring them back and lift them just a bit. So look at the toes. Sink back as much as you can here while still being able to see the toes, and then lift out of the waist, lift the chest. So here's a modified chair that is different than the one we normally do in Bikram. So look straight ahead, breathe here, and really what you want to feel more than anything is just to stretch along the Achilles tendon in the back of your ankles. So I'm going to turn back towards the camera. Just hold this chair really gentle, really light, and be mindful that you're not bringing your shoulders up to your ears. And then let's let it go. Exhale, bring everything down. One more time, more fluid and quick here. Inhale into that chair, so knees stay bent, arms lifted, prayer position. Exhale, let it go. Let's add some twisting here. So inhale, arms overhead. Bring them to touch, hands to touch, and then exhale and just twist open to the left. And inhale, bring it up. Exhale, twist over to the right as you let those arms go down again. And whether or not your legs are straight, knees are bent is really up to you. I like to bring the knees to be bent when I'm in the middle and then open them up as I twist. So one more time on each side, to the left. Inhale, arms up, and twist to the right. And inhale, arms up. Exhale, bring the hands down and find them back up in prayer position, hands at heart center. So that was just kind of a nice, gentle warm up. Okay, so let's take it a little deeper now. So inhale, arms up into that chair, lifted chair. And when you exhale here, bring hands through heart center, keep the knees micro bent and move into a forward fold. You may come about halfway like I am, and then back off of it a little, straighten out your legs, pedal them out in this halfway position. And then slowly, slowly, with a real feel for where you're at this morning, sink into that fold a little more. So I'm going to grab my blocks and let my blocks help me keep my upper body lifted. This really just brings the floor to me as I have the knees bent, belly on the knees, and hips lift. And I'm going to pedal out my legs here, which will rock my hips back to side, from side to side in this fold. And I can feel that one side is definitely tighter than the other. So I'm going to work that out a bit. With belly really glued to those upper thighs, hips lift high. And I'm just kind of playing around with where I'm going to land on the blocks to keep the floor lifted to me. Let your head and neck be the last to go. And at any time in this fold, pedal it out with the legs and really just feel some loosening and opening in the hips. So we're holding this forward fold. Breathe here. And when you're ready to inhale halfway up once more, we'll hold the halfway lift a bit. So I'm lifting myself up using the blocks again. And spread those toes, lift and spread those toes in this fold. Pedal out your legs, which rocks the hips side to side. Kind of get a sense whether or not one side is tighter than the other. So hold that halfway lift and really refine your spine here too. So you've pedaled out your legs. Now check in with the spine. We want the bottom of the spine to be shooting back towards that back wall behind you or whatever's behind you. And then a straight spine along the back. Finally thinking about where it connects at the top of the spine, where your neck and head meet. All one long straight line. Your gaze is down to the floor. And let it go. Relax down into a just gentle forward fold. Exhale, let all the breath go. Pull the belly in. And then inhale, reverse swan dive back up. Hands meet at top. And bring your arms down, hands down to heart center. Okay, so that was a nice flowing work into some folds, and now we're going to incorporate those, the rest of the movements for sun salutations with plank, up dog, and down dog. So come to the top of your mat to prepare to use the whole mat, the whole length of the mat for sun salutations. So we begin where we ended just a bit ago in Tadasana, hands to heart center. I think I'm going to angle my mat just a bit so you can see. I haven't done this before with an angle. I'm always trying to experiment with the best way for you to see what I'm doing on the mat, whether it's a front view or side view. So we'll try an angle now. So I am going to have my blocks ready here on either side of me. Begin with feet together in that Tadasana, hands at heart center. Remember to distribute that weight over the back body. Pull the belly in nice and strong, even as chest is lifted. Inhale here, arms overhead, slight bend in the knees. Exhale, bring the hands through heart center all the way down to a forward fold, pull belly in. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back into plank. And we're going to hold plank here for a bit. So if you need to take plank with your knees down, feel free. But in plank here, I press through the palms, press through the fingertips and spread those fingers like we spread the toes. Check back that the toes are spread and your shoulders are above the wrist. And now just kind of do a rock back and forth on plank on your toes. So rock back. You can pedal out the legs by bending one knee at a time. Keep the hips high and the belly in. I've got one side that's tighter than the other, so I'm really trying to stretch that tighter side out. And then after some of those knee bends and check in with the leg, take the toes and shift yourself about 2 inches or so over your hands and then rock back. And then rock forward, rock back. And let's do one more. Rock forward and then lower all the way down. Keep the elbows bent and close to your ribs. Lower all the way down onto your belly. Keep the palms under the shoulders here. Elbows pull in together behind you. And let's just lift the chest. Peel it off the mat and then let it go back down. Tuck your nose to the mat. Inhale, lift the chest. Shoulders rolled back away from your ears. Exhale, touch your nose. Inhale one more time. This is Cobra. So here, make sure you're using your lower back to lift you up. Let the hands come off the mat if you want to, the fingers. And then just activate your legs here. Zip up the Cobra tail by bringing heels together, and a zipper just goes all the way from your calves through your inner thighs. And then let that all go. Bring it down and push yourself back into a child's pose. So for child's pose, knees are open, belly falls in that space between your thighs. Keep your hands, your palms down on the mat. And now just rock back and forth in this child's pose. Opening the hips and press the hands and fingertips into the mat to lift the forearms and triceps off the mat and open the shoulders. Take a breath here. Feel your hips sink back on your heels. And then on the next inhale, come on up to tabletop from child's pose. So tabletop, hands and knees, shoulders over wrists. Whenever we've got a lift here with our hands under our shoulders, we really just want to make sure shoulders are stacked over wrists. And you're also on your knees. Now just kind of check in with the top of your feet by tapping them on the mat back and forth a couple times. And we're going to go into cat-cow. So for cat-cow, on an inhale, let the belly drop as the tailbone moves up, an arch in the back here. Gaze goes up to the ceiling. You're filling up with some air. You exhale that air out and belly comes up and high. Halloween cat here. Bring the chin to the chest and then inhale. And now take these at your own pace and inhale, the belly drops, and exhale, the belly pulls in, chin tucks to chest, tailbone tucks, round the back, round the spine. And then just completely work it in the opposite direction with the inhale. And then go ahead and do some rotation with the hips in circles here. And you can exaggerate. You can make these as big or as little as you want. I'm making them pretty big. I'm shooting my hips all the way back to my heels and then coming up over my wrist. You can keep them really small. You can keep them like right here. So go one direction and then go the other. I've done about 3 on each side. Now let's get working into that first down dog of the day. Press the hands, press the palms and fingertips into the mat on this tabletop. Flip the toes. And then as you press into the mat with your hands, lift the knees just a few inches off the mat. Let your head and neck relax. So I'm just shaking my neck out and nodding my head to keep it loose and relaxed as I Push through the hands, lift the hips high towards the ceiling. My knees are still really bent. Keep the knees so bent you could glue the belly onto the knees again while you press through the hands and lift the hips high. Once you've really opened up at the armpits here with palms pressed nice and activated into the mat, heels lift high, knees are bent. I'm pedaling, starting to pedal things out with straightening one knee at a time, just so I can really feel that stretch in my toes and my ankles. Begin to slowly just let the heels drop towards the ground. That'll begin to straighten out your legs for your down dog. Breathe here. At any time that you need to take a break, go down into child's pose. So once you've got your hips lifted, you're pressing through the palms, the heels start to sink to the ground. Now we're going to pedal out the dog again. Walk the dog by bending one knee at a time. And press into those toes on the mat and just kind of feel what type of flexibility you have in each of the toes on each side. And let's now shoot for a down dog that's not really adjusting or moving around for one breath here. So find a comfortable position. Exhale all the air out with me here. And let's hold this for one breath. Inhale. And exhale. Let it go. Let's adjust back into plank. So off your toes, you can shoot yourself forward into plank. Lower down. Press the palms under the shoulders and inhale into cobra, or bring your hips all the way through your upper body, all the way through your arms. Turn on the glutes behind you for up dog. Hold here. Let's take a nice deep breath in up dog or cobra, wherever you are. Come back through child's pose for just a minute. We're not going to hold as long this time. Into hands and knees, and finally down dog. Take one full breath here. And then on an exhale, just walk those feet forward. Keep your hands on the mat as long as you can. As you walk the feet forward, keep the belly in. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up. Arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. So let's go through that, flowing with the breath one time. The whole chain that makes up that sun salutation. Inhale, arms overhead. Modified chair here. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back into plank and lower down all the way or halfway down, and inhale into cobra or up dog. Exhale, shoot the hips back, down dog. Make the adjustments you need to. I got here a little faster, so I'll hang out here. You hang out with me once you reach it. Let the armpits really open and the chest sink to the floor, hips lift to the ceiling. Take a nice deep breath here. And on your next inhale, walk the feet forward into halfway lift at the top of the mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to go through it again, and once we're in down dog, we're going to add on from there. So inhale, arms lift overhead, knees slightly bent. Exhale, forward fold. Press out all the air, pull the belly in. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back into plank. Lower down halfway or all the way, and then inhale into upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, shoot it back into down dog. You can come through hands and knees first if you want, or child's pose. Okay, and down dog here, inhale, right leg up behind you, and then just set it back down on the mat. And then inhale, left leg up behind you, keep the hips square to the mat and set it back on the mat. Inhale, right leg up, exhale, set it back on the mat. Inhale, left leg up, and down. One more. Inhale, right leg up, exhale, down. Inhale, left leg up, exhale, down. Okay, on this inhale, right leg up, notice the hips being square to the mat and let that left heel sink. Refine your movement right here with hips square. And then when you feel strong and stable here with hips square, begin to open the hips by lifting that right leg up over, and you can bend at the knee and see it behind you under your left shoulder. And then come on out of that, slowly drop that right leg. Now do the opposite. Inhale, left leg up. Notice your hips square to the mat. Press in the palms, let the right heel drop. Refine this movement. And when you're prepared, open up at the hip now. Left leg behind you. You can glance and see your toes maybe under your right armpit. And then carefully bring the hips square to the mat again and drop that left foot. Take a breath here in down dog. And now we're going to inhale, right leg up, hips square. Exhale, bring the knee through across the belly and the chest, and finally bring that right foot through so that you're dropped down into a low lunge. I'm going to use my blocks for some comfort here and just hold this low lunge. Right foot is in front, hips square to the mat, and I feel an opening in my left psoas and hip flexors. Keep the chest lifted, and I am able to do that by really using these blocks in this low lunge. And then on the next breath, when you're ready, I'm bending at the left knee a bit. So bend the left knee a bit and tap those toes forward on the left side just a bit. Straighten the right leg for pyramid. So both legs are straight here, and now I'm feeling a nice hamstring stretch along the right hamstring. Bring the belly in, spine straight. And then go ahead and come out of this by tapping those left toes back. I'm going to move the blocks, plant the hands into plank. Let's do a yoga push-up here, so drop your knees if you need to. Otherwise, shift forward just a little, come down for a push-up. Chest touches the mat, hands push up. And then we're going to shoot back into down dog. Inhale, left leg up this time. Keep the hips square. Bring the left knee through, first along the belly, then the chest, and use that control before you set the left foot down again into a low lunge. Grab my blocks again to keep my chest lifted. The ankle is under the knee on the left. Turn the right glutes on to feel the opening now, and the hip flexors on the right side. And just breathe here. Get comfortable with this lunge. Don't worry about rushing out of it. And then to go into pyramid on this side, I'm going to bend the right knee slightly so that it allows me to bring my right toes forward just a bit. And then I begin to straighten the left leg, straighten the right leg. I make an adjustment because my back was rounding when that happened. So I make an adjustment to lift my chest to keep my back flat. And now we're doing pyramid, left leg. I feel this in my left hamstring. So breathe here. To feel a little more stretch with my spine straight here, I go ahead and bend at the elbows to begin to fold over a bit on that front leg. And we're gonna move the blocks to the side. Tap the right toes back again to find yourself in that lunge. Before you plant the hands, shoot the left foot back. Shift forward on your hands just a bit. Lower by bending the elbows, touch the chest to the floor, and then push up. Back into down dog. Breathe here. On your next inhale, walk the feet forward all the way to halfway lift at the top of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Up, hands together, and then bring them down to heart center. Okay, why don't we break for a little drink of water here? I know that I need one. Finally feeling like I can move from coffee to water. That's a good thing. I'm going to do a time check. Okay, time to add some twist into the standing series. So I think I'm going to have the mat face the front of the camera because of the twist motion, so you can feel it or see it. Okay. So for these twists, we're going to go through sun salutation and get ourselves into triangle and do a twisted triangle. I think we'll also do, oh gosh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do chair twist, which I need to do because I don't like it. It's one of my least favorites, probably because it doesn't feel easy, and those are always the poses that I know I need to work on. So let's get into chair twist here. Inhale, arms overhead into that Ashtanga chair, which is different than the Bikram chair. So this is the one where we don't sit, the feet are together and we're not pushing the butt back as far. We're bending more at the knees far enough that we can still see our toes under our knees here, and then lift at the chest. And when those arms are engaged and framing your face, you still don't want the shoulders to be tense and tight. So let those rotate down. And then we're gonna inhale here, fill up with air. And on an exhale, let the air go as you twist over, elbow across to the right, and my elbow hooks on my right side. And then press that elbow, left elbow into right knee, press hands, palms together. And we want to look back down and make sure that our knees are straight and we can still see those toes. Here's a twisted chair. Every time you exhale, you can twist a little more. And let it go. Inhale up into a neutral chair in the middle here. Inhale, fill with air. Exhale, we're going over to the other side now. So right elbow hooks on the left leg. I can see my toes. I want my knees to be straight and square. The twist is just happening in my spine. Press the elbow into the knee. Press the palms together. Look up at the ceiling. And then let that go. Inhale up, find your neutral chair. And then straighten the legs. Exhale, arms down. Whew. That is a tough one for me. Okay, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana, so shoot back into plank. Lower down halfway, and then inhale up to upward facing dog. Shoot back into downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg up. Exhale, step it through for this low lunge. And then cartwheel the arms open into warrior two. So right knee bent over right ankle. My left leg is nice, strong, and straight with that left foot parallel to the back of the mat. Arms spread out in this T, warrior two. Find a nice deep bend and an opening in the hips. Keep the chest lifted, but don't overarch the lower back. So you can really protect it by just pulling the belly in, even as chest is lifted. So warrior two here. Straighten that front warrior two leg and let your arms bring you out to over the right front leg, all the way, pull, pull, pull. And when you've reached your limit there, you can bring the arms up to 6 and 12 for triangle. Hold this triangle. I'm bringing my left arm up over my ear to really feel a nice side body stretch. Inhale it back up into warrior two. Now we're going to do a reverse triangle. It's a twisted version of triangle. So straighten that right leg once more. Bring the left leg over just a bit so that it's not, feet are not lined up exactly. They're more like on parallel railroad tracks. Keep this right leg straight. And here's where you're probably going to want to block. So I'm going to grab my block and put it to the outside of my right foot. And we're just going to twist here to bring the left hand over the right leg. Hold on to that block. And then bring the right arm up for a twisted triangle. So hopefully looking at me from the front view shows you what that twist looks like. Really scissor the legs together. Feel the inner thighs activate and bring themselves in. The energy comes in like you're scissoring those inner thighs together, and that helps you with stability. Chest lifts. Gaze can look up behind you. Then we're going to let it go. Come on back into warrior two. And through warrior two, cartwheel the arms over. Shoot back into plank. Do that push-up. And then I'm going to move into chaturanga, which means I lower down just halfway push-up. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to move into all of that on the left side now. Inhale, left leg up. Keep hips square. Exhale, bring it through to a low lunge, left leg in front. And then cartwheel the arms open into warrior two. Left leg is in front this time. So foot placement here, your heel of your front left foot is intersecting at the arch of your back right foot. Left toes are facing the front. The right foot is facing to the side with the length of that foot parallel to the back of the mat. Finally, your arms open up in a T. Remember not to overarch your back like I've just done by sticking your belly out. Pull your belly in, keep chest lifted. Breathe here. Let's feel this for a minute. Turn on those inner thighs. Squeeze an imaginary beach ball together with your inner thighs here. And then let's move into triangle. So we straighten that front left leg. Take your left fingers here and act as if someone is just pulling you to the front. And I noticed when I did that at first, because I can see myself in the computer right now, when I started to pull, my hips shot back. I really want to keep them square and straight and be pulled straight over with my hips staying square. Once you reach the limit of being pulled, then you tick-tock the arms at 6 and 12. Legs are both straight. Gaze up at the lifted right thumb. And again, as I did on the other side, I'm going to take that lifted right thumb and just let it drop down so that my arms are more over my ears, and lift it back up and drop it back down. I'm doing this a few times and really feeling a stretch along my right side body. Okay, open up all the way again into warrior two, and we're going to go for that twisted triangle on this side. So from warrior two here, walk the back legs in just a bit and open your stance up so that there's no more intersection happening with your toes. They're more on parallel railroad tracks. Straighten the front leg. Feel that pulling like we did before over the straightened front leg. The back leg is straight too. And now I'm going to reach and cross my body over that straightened front leg. Press my right hand down into a block. You'll notice my back toes are not facing the front. They're at more like a 45-degree angle. And then finally, pull in the belly. Here's where an exhale twist movement really helps you to gaze up at the left lifted thumb and then scissor together those inner thighs. That helps you stabilize here. This is kind of a balance in addition to a twist. We're really working a lot here. This is revolved triangle. Okay, let's come on out of it. Let it go and gently make the adjustments so that you can swing back into a warrior two, which at this point feels like a resting posture. Find your warrior two just for a moment and then cartwheel your arms. I'm gonna do a push-up. I encourage you to join me. Push up and then shift forward about 2 inches and slowly bend at the elbows. Keep elbows to ribs. Inhale into warrior two, or into facing dog. Let's shoot back into child's pose and take a rest here or a drink of water or both. I'm going to do both here. And we'll move on to the floor. So just rest in child's pose here. Okay, let's move on to the floor. We're going to start in pigeon, and I'll show you a couple we're not going to start in pigeon. I take it back. Let's come up on hands and knees, shoot into down dog. We're going to start with lizard. So inhale, right leg up, hip square, exhale. Bring it through like you were going to for that low lunge, but this time let the foot come outside of the hands for lizard and drop down onto that back knee. Move my arms so that you can see. I'm dropped down onto my back knee. I let gravity pull the left side of my body towards the floor, and then my right side is outside my hands here. So this is lizard. Stay right here. You can open up if you want by bringing the knee away from your arm and rest on the blade of your foot. Or you can really think about pulling that knee in towards the arm and feel that in the outside of your hips. And if you want to play with some flexibility here, you could, if you have it, begin to drop that right shoulder and see if you can kind of tuck your shoulder over your knee. Begin to play with that, kind of like you're putting your leg over your shoulders like a backpack strap. And just go back and forth with it if you want, or if you want to make this just more restful, just relax and sink here. Okay, let's come on out of that and we'll work the other side now. So from tabletop, move into down dog, lift left leg high, and then bring it up and through to the outside of your left hand, drop the back right knee, and now we're in lizard on the other side. So stay right here. Begin to play with opening out at the hip if you want. Back and forth away from your left arm. And if it was fun to play before with the idea of your left arm and trying to fit your shoulders under that knee or thigh, like you're putting on a backpack strap, play with that. And whenever you're ready, we're going to turn that foot back, come into hands and knees. I'm going to kind of wag my tail here. So shake your hips back and forth to kind of wag a tail. Push back into child's pose. And now we'll move into pigeon. So I'm going to turn my mat to the side so you can see a couple options for pigeon. So from hands and knees, let's see, put that here. From hands and knees, push back into down dog. Let's start with the left leg. Inhale, left leg up, hips square. Exhale, bring the knee through like knee to nose or heading to lunge, but just let the knee meet your left wrist. Bring the left foot as closest to the right hand as you can. And then sink the body down for pigeon. So if you want to take a more restorative resting pose here, you can go ahead and come down all the way onto your arms and just rest your head on your arms here. I find as I do that, my foot needs to come closer to my hips instead of being out by my hands as it was before. To really get my hips square, I've got to bring the foot in closer. And you do want your hips square here. So if that means that you have to have a deeper angle with the front of your leg, that's fine. And then one more variation to play with if you don't want to do resting pigeon. This is proud pigeon, just standing with chest, not standing, but upper body lifted with chest lifted. And then for king pigeon here, you can bend the right leg, reach back, and try to find that foot with your arm here. If you want to bring hands up here, or if you want to connect and bring your left hand back all the way to the right foot, that's another option too. I'm not there yet, but there are all these variations and options in pigeon to play with. I usually just frankly stay in the first one in proud pigeon and work on keeping my hips square while also bringing this foot out. So play around with this, find the pigeon you like, and then to come out of it, just lift at the hips, let that left leg come back through, slide through to the right, and find down dog. We'll move into pigeon on the other side. So inhale, right leg up. Exhale, bring it through. Knee comes to right wrist. The foot comes up to the left hand as much as possible while being able to keep your hips square. And then go through those variations and find out which one works best for you. And it's probably going to feel different on this side than it did the other. So this is proud pigeon. You could play with bringing your foot closer to your hips and then coming down on your arms for sleeping pigeon. Stay there if that feels good. Stay in proud pigeon if that feels good. Or you can bend the left leg at the knee. Reach back for that foot with your left arm. And again, if you like it, raise this right hand and bring your gaze to that. Hey, kitty. Betty, do you like the pigeon? Okay, so wherever you ended up there, let's untangle from it, come back through, bring the right leg out. Hands and knees here, push down into down dog. Really a soft, gentle down dog here. Drop the knees. I'm going to do a time check, stand, hands and knees, and it's about time for us to wrap up. So let's do one reclined twist on each side, and then we'll finish. So lie down on your back like we're headed into Shavasana. Inhale and bring your knees up, and exhale, let all that air come out. Squeeze your knees to your chest and just rock on your back and forth here, side to side. Give yourself a little lower back massage. And then for this recline twist, you can keep your knees together, feet together. Arms spread out at the T, out from your shoulders, and bring the left leg over the right, wrap them up for eagle legs, or bring it the left over the right and rest your left ankle on your right knee for a figure 4. And then let it drop once to the left side, and then bring it all the way over to the right. So your spine is straight on the mat as much as possible. The twist really is at the hips. The left hip starts to come off the mat, but try to at least keep your shoulders both touching the mat so that the twist happens down here in the lower body and the hips. So just breathe here. I've started my twist in a figure 4, and I think I'm going to move on to wrap my legs in eagle legs. And when you lift and lower the legs on the floor, it gives you kind of a nice massage in the lower back and along the hips, so that can feel good. So inhale, legs up, untwist wherever you are, find a neutral position with them once more to reset. And now take the right leg and either keep that neutral position with legs simply parallel, or cross over the right leg into either eagle legs, wrapping the right around the left, or figure 4. And then we're going to drop down to the other side, the left side. So in my figure 4, my right foot is hitting the ground on the left side. And just breathe here. And come on out of that. Find that neutral position one more time. Knees bent towards your chest. Now go ahead and just give yourself a hug by bringing your arms around your shins, maybe opposite elbows meet, hug the knees into your chest. Flex the toes, bring it in, just really engage and flex everything in, kind of curl into a ball here, so that when it is time to let it all go, right now, let that all go and open up into Shavasana. You can really feel the explicit difference between having everything engaged and turned on and then just letting it go and being absolutely heavy and flat and letting yourself just be that way, resting on the ground. And we're going to take a 2-minute Shavasana here. This is corpse pose. Really feel your breath enter and exit your body. Chest rises and falls with the breath. Close the eyes. And if you'd like to, come out of Shavasana with me now. You don't have to, you can stay in Shavasana, but if you're ready to move on, just blink open the eyes. Bring some movement back into fingers or toes. I'm taking a few more, just twist from side to side. And then turn onto one side or the other if you want to come up on the side and just push yourself up. Otherwise, you can roll right on up to a seated position. That's usually the option I take. And just, meet me here in a seated position to close out our practice. Thank you so much for joining me. That was a combination of some more restorative poses, but we mixed them in with such slow movements and breath work. It really creates strength as well and stabilization. So in some ways, it was a little more challenging than our Monday, Wednesday practice. And in some ways, it was a little more relaxing. It's kind of a combo of both. It's nice to switch it up that way. So thank you for joining me with that. And there is a happy hour yoga today at 3:30. Maybe Betty will be here. It depends on whether or not the dogs are also here. So I'll see you then. And happy Friday. Happy coming weekend. I hope you all are doing well. And thank you, as always, for joining me. Let's bring hands to heart center. And just bow down to yourself for joining today and doing this practice. And bow down to everyone else in your life here. Remember, namaste. The light in me sees, acknowledges, and honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste.